It's gonna announce that we're being recorded.
Yeah, so we're very excited. My first kind of into the realm kind of thing, getting to kind of talk to you, really get a gist of how you're using Planning Pod, what you do just in general, all of that jazz. The purpose of all of this is just to get a really good, like at the end of the day, I just want to get like more knowledge from you. Like I have knowledge to share, you like vice versa, all of that jazz. And I really just want to get kind of an understanding of why you do what you do and why you like it, obviously. So like, just tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how you got here.
I moved to Houston in 2011. I was in nonprofit and political management in Reno, and I moved to Houston to be closer to my parents so that I had their good years left with them. They had retired to Houston, and so I followed them like a year and a half later.
Yeah.
And when I got here, I had tried finding employment. Those jobs really aren't transferable across state lines because you have to go through and build all the relationships back up again. And so one day I was sitting there thinking, like, what did I like most about those jobs? And it was putting on the fundraising galas and the press events. And I thought, well, why not be an event planner independently and open up my own shop? And so I opened up my first wedding and event planning firm without ever even having stepped foot into a wedding as a guest or in any other capacity. And got certified, hit the ground running, and it's been that way ever since.
Wow, really? That's kind of funny because I feel like it's the opposite. People are like, I always dreamed of being a wedding planner. I was born out the womb to do it kind of thing versus, that's kind of a cool turnaround. So you're not originally from Houston.
Well, I'm originally from Austin, so I am a Texan native, just kind of with my dad's career and moving all over the country. When we landed in Reno, once he retired, they decided to come back in Houston, and I stayed back for a little while until I followed.
Ah, that makes sense. And then, Shaun Gray Events was born. That's
actually no. I originally, my first company was Gray and Associates Events. And then my mom had suffered a stroke, and I went into rehabilitating her. And at that time, we were, when I say humming, we had an event every single week, sometimes 2 weddings on the same night in different venues. And unfortunately, it's hard to juggle all of that and then an unforeseen kind of life flop. So I had put all of my resources into handling what was currently on our books and taking care of my mom. And I did not have the bandwidth to foresee like future bookings to still go out and hustle those. And by the time I had realized something was amiss, it was already too late. And so at that point, I was like, well, I gave it a good go. Let's go back into a traditional work setting. And so I still stayed in hospitality, sales, and event management. And it wasn't until March of 2022, mom passed in July. And so once March came around, I am the full caretaker for my dad. And so I was looking around and thinking, you know what, you're having the kind of, now the world is post-COVID. I'm not seeing, even in my jobs, because I was the director of event planning for a luxury hotel, you call yourself luxury, but yet you're still not giving the customer service at the level that I'm comfortable with. Yeah. So if I'm still searching for a miss in the market, there has to be other people searching for that too. So why don't I go back? Nobody can do it better than I can. And so I launched Shaun Gray Events, and that's where we are today.
Wow. Okay, wait, the luxury hotel thing. Okay, you were talking about that in the live the other day. Do you remember? So you still work with them or?
No. I was employed by them, left them, and then started my own firm again.
Wow, but you still partner with, hotels from time to time, or?
Oh yeah, I make videos and post about Magnolia Hotel a lot, which is a hotel in downtown Houston, and we are in their package as a month of coordinator. If the couple is having their ceremony and reception at the hotel and don't already have a coordinator, the hotel books us to step in and fill that piece for them.
That's nice though. That's a nice way to like kind of have that partnership where they're gonna book a wedding at some point that they don't have a coordinator. That makes sense. That's kind of a nice little dig in there. That's what,
For sure.
I've been
Work smarter,
all
not
over the
harder.
work smarter, not harder. That's the mood. Wow. Because that's what I had to ask about that, because I know you were talking about that, and I was like, wait a minute. Like, I know that's like that's like a thing that happens in the realm, but it's just such a smart way to, like, you don't have to go and find your own clients. So, so in terms of, because obviously you've been doing, this for a while now, and I mean, things have changed with, I'm really sorry about your mom. That's really hard. I want to say that. Sorry, I did want to say that. I was like, I want to make sure to let you know that's hard with the pandemic and everything else that's going on. So like, what does your day-to-day look like now versus like even like pre, pandemic? Like, what has really changed for you?
I think the biggest piece that I can tell that's changed is, I say back in the day, it really hasn't been that long, but because of the pandemic and everything that's happened, it feels like forever. Yeah. It used to be okay to have a beautiful website, have like a strong collection of reviews on traditional wedding resource storefronts, and you could just kind of post a pretty grid on your Instagram profile and you were good. Yeah. Today's consumer wants more. They don't want just the pretty. They understand that you can pay somebody to make it pretty. They want to know like who the person is. And so towards the end of the pandemic, I got serious about TikTok, and I got serious about another social media platform called Clubhouse, which is just like an audio only platform. And that's sort of my connection to wedding pros, like business to business coaching and getting advice and learning myself. And then the TikTok side of it is how I talk to new couples, my ideal client, etc. And it allows for a perfect opportunity to just show up every day, give them the good, give them the bad, don't hold anything back, because our couples are smarter today. They know how to research and find the answers that they're looking for. So if you don't put it all out there, they're going to find it eventually. And I'd rather them hear it from me than from anywhere else.
Yeah, that's true. Wait, okay, the Clubhouse. So is that kind of a spot for like a lot of people in the wedding pro, like the wedding pro, but like event pro industry? Is that kind of what that is? Or is it like Clubhouse?
Yeah. So the way Clubhouse works is anybody can go in and sign up. When it first came out, it was only on iOS, but now it's available on Android, and you don't need an invitation. So you can just download it. And then once you're in there, you're in what they call the hallway, which is like a scroll, is all of the rooms that are live right now, what people are talking about. Think of it like if you could listen to a live podcast and get questions from the audience. It's in the moment. Yeah. And then once you're in there for a minute, you see that a lot of the rooms are organized under clubs. And so one of the largest clubs is the Wedding Pros Club. I think it has 13 or 14,000 members. And in that club, there's a town hall that's hosted every Monday. I have a show on Thursday nights with a motivational speaker, photographer friend of mine. And we kind of like give you the real, like we leave the replays on, because again, I'm all for like authentic. This is my view. If you love it, great. If you don't, keep scrolling kind of a mentality. So I stand by what I say, regardless if it's polished or if I'm just talking with the girlies. And so that's more of like a, put your feet up, a more relaxed setting, but still be able to have that important business education, talk to somebody who's been there before, kind of an outlet for me. So I really enjoy it, and thousands of wedding professionals do as well.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just sorry, not to pry on
Don't apologize.
But I wanted to ask because like obviously we use like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all those different things, but I wanted to make sure to know like where people are really going to listen to those things, because obviously there's top podcasts, all of that jazz, those all exist as separate entities, but that's kind of a cool spot to just find out, like, again, like our whole thing is learning from other people, from people who are in the industry, who know things better than we will, because we're like, obviously we're Planning Pod and we have, like we have a software to offer, but like we're always learning, we're always trying to grow it, build it, things like that. And like hearing from people, like that's cool. Like being able to go in there and just sit there and scroll and listen to people and, what they're talking about, what's going on in the industry today, is a nice little spot. So I'm excited.
I want to say, when you say, we as Planning Pod are always learning and growing and whatever,
Yeah.
as a customer, like, I have no longer business relationship in my career than my relationship with Planning Pod. So I've seen firsthand how much of an emphasis the company puts on growing and changing and adding services and trying to be the all or end game for event professionals. So I like that you said that, and I like that I had the opportunity to back that up and say, no, you're not just saying that because it sounds cool. Like, that's at the core of Planning Pod from one of its customers' perspectives.
Yeah.
Shaun, you're gonna make our development team's day. I'm gonna pass that along to them, and they're gonna be over them. I know you've been with us forever, but that's a really powerful thing to hear, and a very kind thing to share. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, it's just a cool thing. Like, that was, I mean, like, for me, like, obviously, okay, I'm new. I'm like the newbie of everything. But, for me, like, coming into Planning Pod, I was like, the fact that, like, just since I've been here like a month solid, okay? And since I first came in, I tell you what, we have changed so much. Like, we've had little launches, things like that. We had a launch today, So, we've had little things like that pop up where it's exciting because we're constantly trying to get better for you guys. It's not really for us. Like, we're not doing it really for us. Like, obviously there's a revenue and all that kind of jazz, but like, at the core of it, we're trying to figure out how to make this better for you guys, because like, there's other companies that do, what we do, but they don't really ask like their own people that are using their software, what do you use? What'll make this better?
And you're hitting on it, because you can put a lot of paint on a canvas, but it doesn't mean it's gonna be a piece of work that anybody wants. So you know what I mean? Like, you can dress it up and make it as pretty as you want it to be. While I've been a customer with Planning Pod since 2011, I'm an entrepreneur. I've gone around and played with the other ones, to see, just because I want to make sure that I'm also running my business at the level that it's going to take to get me to where I want to go. And that means having a CRM under me that can cover a lot of those bases. And while some features and benefits are comparable, some aren't, if you take the suite at large, just like we had that conversation yesterday about the Google Calendar integration. If I knew those quick fixes, it would expand my ability to show up as a better wedding planner, to show up as a better educator for my colleagues. And so knowing that Planning Pod is always trying to help me do that, it's a partnership that I am so lucky to have and would not find in other places, because I've tried.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I just want to do a little kind of ops plug here. We do have okay, just for your knowledge, we do have some learning modules that just like popped out, like a learning kind of area. And I know it's kind of running a lot for like people when as they're signing up, things like that. But if you're ever interested in that, it's a nice way for you to also have another source of, like, if you don't know how to do something in there, it's right there. Like, there's a little module that you can just look it up right there. So that is an option too. It's not like it doesn't cost anything. It's just something we've added. So
that's good to know. I think back in the day I think there has always been some, but it's mostly just like Jeff talking straight to camera or like voiceover slides. So if there's new ones, I'll go check them out. No shade on Jeff. I'm just saying those are
That's hilarious. So to elaborate a little bit on what the modules that Maya is talking about, this is actually an LMS system that our customer ops team has implemented. So it's a platform that we're branding as Planning Pod Academy. And because you've been with us for such a long time, I figured you might not know about it. And we Maya and I talked about this yesterday a little bit. Oh, hi, kitty cat.
Sorry, my cat's just don't mind.
Anyway, so since you've been with us for such a long time, let me go ahead. I'll talk to our customer ops director about your account specifically. So she'll enroll you in that LMS, and then you'll get an email granting you access. Okay. There's probably a lot of info in there you don't need because you've been using us for so long. But the idea behind that in terms of serving any new user is to give everybody, no matter what count level they are, the opportunity to get a custom learning path through what the software does and how it might apply to their type of business, since we serve a bunch of different types of events businesses. So I'm going to make a note to talk to Jess, our customer ops director, about you and see if we can get you access to it.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, just as a, just since we're here, since we're already, just to let you know that is a thing that exists. So that, if you ever have questions, things like that, wanna help you out when we can.
Thank you,
kind
Maya.
of thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, customer ops should be getting back to you about the calendar thing, because I know they can explain it a lot better than I can, just because it's a one-way integration for that, so that you can get all of your stuff hooked into your Google calendars, and then you just have to set up the alerts through Google calendars, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Just to reiterate that, so that, yeah, so that is a thing, don't you worry. What is your 6 to 12 month goal? Like, what are you hoping to achieve within the next year? Like, I know things are changing because we literally just had a pandemic and all that jazz, so the industry is different as is, but what are you looking forward to? Are there different events, things like that you're looking forward to in the year? What's going on with you?
Well, I am heading off to Orlando in March to speak about short form video to event professionals at Cater Source. I'm stoked about that. Yeah. I feel like we're in this weird place where I believe the world is getting smaller, and I don't think everybody has jumped onto that way of thinking yet. And so what I'm really being intentional about is how can I serve more nearly weds at scale? So whether that's through my timeline course that I've had up and running for a few months and have just listed, or not listed, but I just finished a contract with the UGC creator to get some content around what a bride's perspective is of that course. Obviously serving my Houston couples. I just had a pair of grooms get married at a garden here in Houston, and it was like a garden disco party that was phenomenal.
Ooh, I like that.
It was fun. It was fun for sure. I'm actually meeting on that same vein as the world's getting smaller. I'm finding couples on TikTok reaching out to me and asking me what my travel policy is, because again, they're not seeing people in their market show up regularly and talk to them just like this. And so if I am filling that void, we are building a connection that they then have to go and start from scratch or try to replicate with vendors in their own market. And sometimes they're not able to, but they still want what I promised to deliver. And so they've been engaging in conversations and consultations. And I've got a couple of trips, Northern California and some other destinations this year that I don't want to get into specifics yet because we're still in the contract phase, but those conversations are happening. So I'm excited. It lends itself with those weddings who are with people that I have built a connection with as well. So I'm more excited and gassed about delivering an exceptional product, but also allowing me to do the things that I need to in my regular life, whether that's take care of my rat terrier rescue bear or caretake for my father. It's really the internet and short form video has allowed me to still hold true to who I am as a wedding planner, but just think about going about it in a different way.
Yeah, that's exciting. Bear is very cute, by the way. I still can't.
Thank you.
But he's so cute and teeny.
He's over there passed out on the recliner right now, actually.
That's what, yeah. He's like, do your talking, Dad. I'll be over here. Don't worry. That's funny. Yeah, that's not a bad, and it's exciting though that you're traveling and things like that, because I know some really stay centralized in their area. And I mean, obviously if you can do that, that's, good. But being able to also travel and kind of check out different places and see, what weddings are going on and things like that in other markets is really exciting versus, that's kind of a cool, I mean, I get to see it all the time because that's what my feed is. My feed is weddings, and different events in hundreds of different areas around the world, which is, just as fun, but it's different being there.
But also you said it perfectly, because in the old days, in the archaic 2000 aughts, kidding, but in the older days, you would have trends that really were more regional. And while there's still some of those that are true, more and more those trends are more broad-based because newlyweds are seeing the world of weddings in their feeds each and every day at a level where they just weren't a few years ago.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's so impressive is I'm like, I'll watch like somebody will do a wedding, literally in Houston, and it'll be, similar theme, things like that. But it'll be, like a very Texas themed thing, very big, very lots of, huge food amounts, all of that jazz. And then I'll watch them do it in like New York. And I'm like, okay, I see you. I don't know where you got that, but I'm sure you got some ideas from somewhere. And it always makes me laugh because I'm like, it's just a cool thing to see that like that's changing. Like we're not just in this small scale anymore anywhere. I mean, heck, look at us, we're planning pod and like we're not small scale anymore either. You know what I mean? Like it's all, it's all seeming to shift. So it's kind of a very exciting time for everything. Okay, to plug you. So like what's obviously like your ideal like venue is in your area, things like that, but do you have like an ideal venue, organization, things like that, or like who's your ideal client, just so that we can make sure to plug you in here, because this is going places. So, we got to do the plug.
My ideal client is a working professional who understands the importance of a gathering with intention, meaning nothing is just we're doing it because everybody's always told us to do it, or we're doing it because my mom said we have to. They're really wanting to tell their love story exactly how they want to tell it, and are so excited to tell it to the guests that they've invited to said celebration. So I don't really get caught up in the high level, like, let's just do a disco theme because it's the cool thing to do. We're doing a disco theme because in this particular couple's example, and in a lot of gay culture, nightclub is a part of their love story. Like they met in a nightclub, they were spinning at a nightclub. So to bring that element of disco is an homage to the nightclub that they met in. It just so happens they got to do it at a time where that theme had broader reach to the larger wedding community. So a lot of times people can get caught up in like, oh, that looks chuggy or that looks ridiculous. Well, it doesn't to the couple because that's how they chose to tell their love story. So if you're like super traditional or have, in my opinion, a two-dimensional view on what a wedding is, I'm probably not your ideal planner. But that's also why I love being in a social media community as much as I am, because I really get to like celebrate and lift up the couple in Nebraska who's doing it despite what their aunt tells them to do, or the couple in New York who's saying, F you to my friends who are super judgmental. This is the wedding we want to have. Social media, particularly short form video, allows you to see, in my opinion, who's really genuine and who's not. And so I have so much fun, even if they're never my client, just applauding it, because I'll tell you what, the couple in Houston that wants that kind of a celebration and wants that kind of a support system in their back pocket, pushing them and scouting out their vision, they're going to see me lift up those other couples. And they're going to know without a doubt that I really practice what I preach.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. I got to say your disco wedding was cool. I love the disco bombs. I love the disco bombs. That was perfect. When I saw that on your story, I was like, yeah, this is right on point. The music, everything went with it. I was like, your socials,
I have a question, if I could.
Shoot.
Now, you said you were only here to press record and you keep interrupting. No, I'm just kidding.
I know. You know what? I have a big mouth and I've accepted it.
I love it.
I'm really curious about if you could ballpark about how much time you spend in social media environments on your business versus how much time you're spending on minutia the little bits of planning and that type of thing. I'm curious about that ratio. And I'm also curious about how our platform plays into that to, allow you that freedom to get out on social media and make these connections and applaud the people you're applauding.
I'm glad you asked that question. So let me try to answer them together in a single train. If I meet somebody, a vendor, for example, and I start to build a connection with them in social media, the very next thing I do is take their contact information. And this is more of a 2023 thing because I'm starting to see at scale how I need to manage that. So I go into Planning Pod and I build a contact profile for that vendor. And then I use the tag feature in my Planning Pod CRM to be able to say 2023 TikTok vendor or 2023 nearly wed, whatever. That way I know I can keep them in Planning Pod and continue to update their profile whether it be vendor referrals that I gave them or a question that they asked me. I want to be able to recall that conversation and have it be home based somewhere, especially because as you think of scrolling or social media, it's here for a minute and then it kind of gets lost in the noise a couple days later. So being able to tag that back to a profile in Planning Pod allows me to really be all in a short form video set, but still be a serious business owner because I'm tagging that in my CRM. So that's my broader how I use Planning Pod in my short form video daily life.
Yeah.
But how it allows me to be a better planner for my clients who are enlisting me, whether it's a community festival or a wedding, what have you. When you said minutia, I immediately went to creating an invoice from scratch or having a less professional looking timeline Excel spreadsheet. Planning Pod allows me to do both of those things in a professional, polished way through the timeline builder in each of my event folders, or being able to invoice within seconds, just putting in the contact information that's already pulled up because I have their contact profile already in Planning Pod. Make sure the number's right, give it a title, throw a line item in there, hit to send, make sure add Square button is clicked so that it automatically pays through my Square processing. And then I can get right back into talking to Maya, hitting her up for a question, or creating short form videos. So and I preach this all the time to new planners, whether you've been in it for 15 years or you don't even have a client yet, you need a CRM because you have no idea how it's going to free up your bandwidth to do all the other stuff that you probably actually love doing more than sitting there saying reception doors open at 7, couple entrance at 7:10, those sort of things. So Planning Pod already having those templates that you're able to save and then replug in, it really frees up time to do the cooler stuff in your business.
Well, and is there? Oh
no, you're fine. I was just saying that's fabulous. That's all I had to contribute.
Okay. I was just gonna ask: is there different parts of the software that you use more often? Are there things that you don't find use for, just in your specific business realm and why?
Sure. I would be dead in the water without timeline creation. And so that's also, so I would be dead in the water without timeline creation. I believe there's no better differentiator for a good wedding and event planner based off of their timelines. So you can have all the amazing creative ideas and be the fabulous, most sought after designer artist on the planet. But they're hiring us to be a planner, which means we've got to have the logistics down, which means timelines for me are it. And so that's one reason why it's been harder for me to give those other tools that are out there a really honest look, is because if you don't have what I need from a timeline standpoint, I'm done. It's full stop, the game is over. And so I run back to Planning Pod. Even back when, And I think I've romanticized it a little bit just because of how long I've been with you all. But like, if we're just talking amongst friends, I don't really remember what it was, but I remember the integration from when we all went from My Wedding Workbook Pro into Planning Pod. The timeline, the way that timelines were represented in Planning Pod was different than the way it was represented in My Wedding Workbook Pro. And I actually liked the way it was represented in My Wedding Workbook Pro better, but I learned Planning Pod because I was already built out there. So I already had a handful of clients that were already through the process of my CRM. I had already input all of my vendor information. So I didn't want to go anywhere else. But I will tell you, the other people that are still out there, in my opinion, don't hold a candle to the timeline feature. So I'd be dead in the water, and I'm going to stay on that hill that y'all's timeline feature is the way to go. Now, when we started getting more and more into digital and away from paper and that kind of thing, the invoice creator was the next kind of aha, especially when I had clients who were on monthly retainers, because it was easily just duplicate the invoice, change the month, and resend to them without even thinking. It allowed me to move faster, to be more present for what my clients needed me to be present for, and allowed me to go out and get new clients because I had more time to do that with the timeline feature. Forms, the form builder is so important today because if you think of like client forms that get sent to clients and they have to input all the information. So I wish you all would put a little into there. Like it bugs me that it's like down at the bottom and I have to click more and like go in and dig it up to be able to recall it. But the fact that I can like custom questions, save the form, and then replug it in for all of my future clients, I love. I just wish it was a little easier to get to. Pinterest is like a wasteland brain dump for couples planning their weddings and events. Like I love when I get like a summer wedding vibe and I look at her Pinterest account and she's been collecting this account since she was 14. So there's like cranberry cocktails. And I'm like, at some point you wanted a winter wedding. I can't make heads or tails of the inspiration that I'm seeing. So I use the vision board a lot in the client portal on Planning Pod to be able to like, okay, let me take these 300 images. Let me cut it down to the 15 that we're actually going to use as inspiration for this wedding. And let's upload that with comments. I love the interaction that you do on those pictures because you can really be like, I want you to look at the font in this one. I want you to see how they're using roses in this arch. And then you can like drill down specifically on the image what you and the client are vibing with. So those are kind of like my favorites and things I wish were better high level with my experience with Planning Pod.
That's kind of a nice, it's a good summary because I think you're definitely using like the pieces that I think really cater towards like your business itself. Like, and I mean, that's the whole point. We want to have things that cater to each individual person, not just, wedding planners as a whole. I did have a question about your account. Is there a reason why you don't use like the leads management? Just like, is there like a specific?
No, I think you hit it when you said you can pick and choose the things that you use for your business, and why I was excited about the LMS announcement earlier. Mm-hmm. I'm not the be all end all expert. I know the ins and outs of everything that's available on the CRM. So there's some stuff that I haven't really dived in to look at that I probably should. Real quick, when I switched over from Gray & Associates events to Shaun Gray events and my emails and domains changed, if you got a tip on how I can get rid of the lines of people who had email addresses associated with my old domain, because that's chaotic to look at when you first open up your profile. I just have never figured out how to get rid of it. So I just hurry up and scroll.
I was just looking at that today too. And I was like, I swear I know there's only one him, but like here, okay,
So when we used to be proactive and go after, because we were advertisers in Weddings in Houston magazine for a while. This is too in the weeds, I'm sorry, but like we would cold call leads that we got from those sources, and because we didn't have an email, and because I wanted my event day managers and interns to be able to see like who was already contacted, I would just force an email address from our domain into the profile.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Hannah, is there a way we can get those off of the account, or are those permanent?
So here's the tricky thing with contacts. Anytime a contact has been associated with a document, like a proposal or an invoice or a contract, it becomes a contact that you can't delete. And the reason for that is just for the integrity of the history of data in your account. So you can see all of that in there. However, your invalid email notifications that I'm looking at, I mean, there are a couple workarounds I could envision. You could, if you had like I don't know, some people have an email address that they just keep around to funnel random things into. You could go in and just replace the email address underneath all these contacts. Now, that being said, do you still work actively with any of these contacts? Okay, so that might be a safe option for you. Now, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, because though I did start in support, I'm no longer there. So I'm still going to talk to our support team and make sure that I'm good to go on that recommendation for you. But I'll make sure you get a follow up about it.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is what you're describing is something I've seen before. That people have done with their businesses in times of transition. So yeah, though they can't be removed as contacts, I think we could do something about your invalid email notification. So you don't have to just roll down.
No, that'd be great. And it would be easy for me to just change the email address so that I get that notification off forever too. I don't mind doing that. I would have to go one by one, but that's at night when you're watching TV kind of a thing.
Yes. And yeah, one thing to watch out for, it sounds silly, but I tell everybody with the invalid email stuff is if a space sneaks its way in there before or after your email address in that field, then you'll get another invalid email notification at some point.
I learned that the hard way through inputting times, because times is the same way. It'll be like invalid time.
Yes. And you're like, that. But anyway, that would be what I would say. But I'm going to follow up with you on a few things, and that will be one of them to make sure you all the info you
make it a little bit easier for you versus out of all the things. We'll try. So you've given us kind of a couple pieces and ideas of is there like one big thing that you would, I know you are always pushing that little if you guys would make an app, but are there any other things that you would think like could improve Planning Pod, make it like better for you, make a better experience for you, or that you've seen other people talking about, things like that?
No, not really. If the goal is to be more like user friendly and able to work for like business owners of all different sizes and whatever, you really got to get on the app game. But if we're not there yet, then as what it is now, it's beautiful. I don't have any, oh man, I wish this could be better. Well, hold on. Now that I think about it, there's not a way for me to be able to tell if a communication was sent to somebody, if I send it through the communication tool in Planning Pod. Like if I send a payment reminder, I want to make sure I'm going to say this right. If I send a payment reminder on an invoice through the communications tab in Planning Pod, and it just kind of like goes, and then you're good.
Yeah.
In 2 days, if I'm like, did I send that payment reminder? There's not like a tag either in communications or on what I can see on the invoice itself that lets me know that, hey, you already sent this payment reminder.
Yeah.
So I see what you're saying. There is a way to see if it got sent. However, the fact that it's not connected to the invoice is the disconnect that I see you highlighting. And that does make sense. You should be able to see, Now, if we're talking payment reminders specifically, I'm in your account right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and take a quick look. Let's see. I need to go into an event to verify this.
Do I still have, I think, I don't know if Dan's had any on there, but Gina's should have some on there.
Okay, perfect. So, okay, here's where you can find these as of right now is only in the sent folder quick view in the communications tool itself. So not
I didn't even know that existed.
Yes. So it's, however, you have a point, like having this a little bit more connected to the other tools that you're using, because we have the ability to send off reminders in so many different places. That makes sense. And that's a valid request. And that's something that I can pass on to our ops team. But yes, that'll be something that I'll, actually, if you want to see what's been sent, go to communications in the menu on the left, and then click on sent under the quick view. And that will show you everything that's been sent to clients from the system, including payment reminders, invoice receipts, stuff like that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
So then I'm good. I don't have any wish that you could do this.
Well, we're just trying to help you where we can. That's the thing is we figure some things people like are just really wanting and we really don't have, and some things are things we do have, but it's a platform. It's complicated in and of itself. It's a software, all that jazz. And so sometimes like people just are like, I don't know where this is. I don't know, and it's a little teeny thing that just makes your life a little bit easier. So that's, that's why we're doing this, just one, to get your input, but two, to kind of be able to give our input of what we can, help you with versus anything else.
I discovered that I am officially old. Because she's not
that old. She's literally in her 30s. Okay. Anyway, continue.
Well, but still, so before we hired Maya on, it was just me in marketing, like literally just me with all the marketing stuff. And we're like, sure, we'll dip our toe in the social. And it's just, I realized in order to actually flesh out a strategy, it was going to take a lot of time and energy and effort. And this one, you're over here on my screen, Maya. So
you're down here on my screen.
Well, here you go. That one. She has just blown things up in the best possible way. I mean, we're incredibly thrilled with her. And yeah, we got pretty darn lucky. I think you were one of my first applicants too.
Yeah.
There is a planner, just to give you a little local story. There was a planner who was in Houston years ago, kind of the first night I was like, oh, I made it, was when I won my first ILEA Crystal Icon Award. It was a Houston-based award. Anyway, the host of that was Samara Hurley. She hosted the awards that night. And then she ended up asking me to lunch later that week because we had connected at the award show. Yeah. So I forget where you posted it. It might have been LinkedIn or something, but you were asking like who uses Planning Pod or something. And no, I posted my video on LinkedIn where I was talking about Planning Pod, right? Mm-hmm. And then she came in and commented and was like, oh my God, I love Planning Pod. And I was like, I didn't know you used Planning Pod. Like I've known her for years. I didn't know that she used Planning Pod. Yeah. And I think that's the cool thing about social media is that it just allows people to have a conversation about something where otherwise they wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
So that's my little plug for Maya's The Right Call. And I love seeing you guys on all of the social networks that I am on.
Well, that's what, like the biggest thing. Yeah. Thank you. But like the biggest thing, is like, my big thing is I want us to have a really good, like Planning Pod community. I want users to be able to talk to each other because like, obviously we have support and support is wonderful. Love support. But this, like, I want to have another avenue for you guys to be able to ask each other questions if you guys don't know how something works, because one of the best ways for you guys to figure that information out is by asking somebody else who is in your same profession and is using a tool that you didn't even know was in the platform. You know what I mean? So like my whole big thing is I want to be able to create a spot where you guys can all talk to each other. And like you obviously I'll be there, support's still there, all these different avenues, but I want to give you 100 different avenues. I want you to be able to find a YouTube video that tells you how to insert a door in a floor plan. I want you to be able to find those little things on all the different avenues so that there's not any room for questions, like that kind of thing. Asking, like, we have plenty of wedding planners who use our software. I get it. There are specific wedding planner specific softwares, but we have lots of wedding planners who use our software and are very like efficient with it. And it works really well for them. Like, I want to make sure people have the right information regardless of who it comes from. I mean, that's our whole thing. Like, heck, I'm not a wedding planner. I'm not a wedding planner, okay? But that's why I'm talking to wedding planners to find out how they do what they do so that I don't have to sit here and guess. Like, there's no guessing. Somebody else is telling me, versus me going around and being like, well, this is how they use it. That's not, it's just not the way to go about it. Like, you guys are our users. You know better than anyone else.
For sure. A community would be cool because I think it would be easy to fire off a question or have y'all ever done this, and not taking up y'all's time, but asking other people who are already vetted users of the software. Because sometimes, while I appreciate there's like a library of help available in the system, it's sometimes hard to query it correctly to get an answer. And that's not just with y'all, that's the experience on any kind of help tab with anything that I use. Whereas if there's like a Facebook group or somewhere where I could just be like, wedding planners, have y'all ran into this before using Planning Pod? Like, what did you do? Or how do you get over this hump? How do you know where to find your stint? I mean, poor Hannah, thank you, but like, she's like, there's probably 1,000 other things I'd rather be doing today than to show this planner who's allegedly been with us for 11 years where to find his scent communications app.
No, not at all. Not at all. Seriously. What we've got here is useful, but it's also a beast and there's a lot to it. So there are new things I find about the software constantly. Absolutely. I am happy to help with that stuff. Don't worry.
Well, I appreciate it.
No, yesterday when you popped in with your question about the Google thing, you should have seen it was like a support questionnaire coming in on the Instas and on TikTok. And I was like, oh Lord, like I can only do so much.
Oh no. I asked permission before I just threw it on you. Like, I was like, can I take advantage of our friendship to ask you?
Always. That's what I'm here for, That's what the social's for.
Yeah, we want to hear from you. It really is the truth of our philosophy as a company that we believe the only way to meet our users where they are is to talk to them and hear from them and hear about their experiences, good, bad, and ugly, and how our product can solve issues. And we're constantly looking at ways to make it better, even the stuff that is already working well. We don't believe that you can ever reach a point where it's perfect. Like, we want to keep improving. So anything that you have to bring to us, you are always more than welcome. Anything at all.
Anytime. I'm there. It'll ping me. Don't you worry. That's how I'm ending up. Like, you'll ping me in the lives and I'm like, okay, here we go. Like, I'll literally be like munching, and I'm like, yep, I'm in. Whatever we're doing, is not a problem.
Thank you.
So.
Of course, I can never promise a timeline in terms of stuff like building out the community forums, but we see that need and we want to meet it. So it's part of our vision in going forward for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it quite literally is. We talked about it like a lot last week. Don't you worry. We're figuring out how we can do that, or if we can do that, so that we want to give our users the best possible ways to get their answers, to be able to use the software. So
something else that I've always appreciated about y'all is a lot of the other ones have like quick gimmicks to get a bunch of users bought in, like at times when entrepreneurship spikes or people start thinking like new year, new me. Mm-hmm. But with Planning Pod, it's like, in my experience, it grows or shrinks with you. So like, you understand that your portfolio outlook fluctuates based off of like, all your weddings wrap in April, you have a drop off until they expand again at engagement season. So the flexibility to contract or expand how many event books you have at any given time is a feature that might get overlooked sometimes, or people don't really talk about it. But from financial planning, it's a great feature that you all allow us to change that month to month.
Yeah. That's why if we can, anyways, it's a nice little thing to have, because we know we're part of the industry.
Y'all are like, actually, next week that's changing. So
No.
No, but that, that's another thing that I think we've been doing for a long time that we're glad that we decided to do in terms of our pricing structure. A lot of people price by like seat in the software. So if you want to have more users, they'll price you based on more people having access, or I've seen platforms that price based on attendee count with things like that. And, for us, yeah, it makes sense to have that flexibility if you're on monthly pricing, because we know things change. And if anything taught us that, it's the pandemic, let me tell you. So
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. It's had us in a loop here. I mean, heck, look at us. We're all sitting in our homes. Like, when would we?
Right. It had everybody in a loop, especially in the events industry.
Yeah. Well, that's what, yeah, I'm surprised, for like me, I'm like, I was a post-pandemic here baby in Planning Pod, but I'm like thoroughly surprised at how well like the events and like venue industries are still like thriving, even though like the pandemic happened and it was like, I guess we're not having weddings anymore, kind of thing. And it's like, it's impressive how much like, and that's the thing, like this industry is going to thrive regardless of what happens, in the world, kind of thing. It just is. People are still going to get married. They're still going to, people are still going to want to go to museums and host events and things like that. People are still going to do that. And it's cool because you wouldn't think, you're like, oh gosh, the world shut down, we can't even find food in the grocery stores, and then over here, people are like, well, I'm still going to have my wedding just at the top of this mountain instead, like, here we go. And it's like, okay, sure, we'll do it.
They go to the grocery store and see a dozen of eggs for $8 and yet can't understand for the life of them why their wedding cake prices increased. And it's like, because he uses the same eggs that you just complained about spending more money for.
Yeah, that is always so funny.
You have to decide what I would tell a wedding planner. And in fact, I remembered that you asked this in my live and I didn't get a chance to answer it. And so I made a video where I answered this question and tagged you in it, but that's a different time. Like 3 days ago. So I don't know if you've been off or what have you been doing.
No,
I'll have to talk to Anna about that offline. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Okay. So the piece of advice that I would give a wedding planner is this. You have to decide if this is a passion project, hobby, or if this is a business. And if it is a business, that means there's sales, there's bookkeeping, there's client relations, there's client management, and there's event function like seating, floor plans, timelines, etc. As a business, you now have to be over all of that. So you can have your cute little Google Drive and break it off into folders and whatever, or you can have a home base that you can grow into and expand with that covers all that already, that you can spend some time building it with templates that make sense to you, that are in your language, one and done. Cook it in your templates and then let the CRM do its work. So if you want to be a passion project and a hobbyist, I love that you were able to design those cute little spreadsheets on your Google Drive. But if you are going to be a business, you need to have a business mindset. And there's not one company that thrives that does not have a CRM.
Yeah. Chris, and I really thank you for being, my first, everything, because I mean, you popped up like literally my day too. And, since then, it's just been really nice to have, somebody in the industry who is so on social media that I can, come to and ask questions and like vice versa kind of thing. And also is, in a way you're showing me around the platform. I mean, I've been in the platform a whole time, sure, but in a way you're showing me it from like your perspective. So sure, that's really cool. And I'm also really grateful that you sat down with me today because, I knew it was going to be, you were the perfect way to just at least for me to start my, my kind of interviewing, getting to know clients, things like that, because I mean, you're literally a perfect example, you're very positive, all that kind of jazz, and it works out really well. So I'm really grateful.
Oh, I'm so glad. Of course, anytime. And if you ever have a question or you want me to gas something up for you that you're super proud of, please let me know and I will.
Beautiful. And you do the same, okay? So that I can, I'm always down for that. And I'm gonna have to find that video that you tagged us in, because I swear it didn't ping me. I'm gonna find it. I get pinged for everything. So yeah, but beautiful. All righty. Well, I don't have any more questions. Hannah, do you have any other questions?
I don't have any other questions, but I just want to echo Maya's gratitude, Shaun, for all of your engagement with us on social and the content you've generated for us already. Like, it really has made a massive difference in us getting this ball rolling on social.
I'm glad.
Thank you.
Of course. Quit being so good, and then I wouldn't be motivated to do it.
Well, I don't think we'll try for that, but beautiful. Well, and
Awesome.
Shaun, do you have any other questions for us?
I'm good.
Okay, all righty. Well, then I will definitely see you on the socials. And